Welcome to our stream, everybody. This is Ariel, and we are streaming live on YouTube and on Twitch. This is a general reading for all signs for today, the 27th of May, 2023. Moderating on YouTube is the lovely Shirley, and moderating on Twitch is the lovely Honeypaw. Thank you so much, moderators, and thank you to everybody for joining us for this general reading for all signs. If you're watching this on YouTube on a restream, you can always fast forward through all the shuffling that's just about to happen by using those timestamps in the video description. Today I'm reading with the Tarot de Maria Celia, and I'm going to purify with this Aqua Colonia by 4711. This happens to be the Melissa and Verbena. It's a lovely Van, and 3 sprays in this room is more than sufficient. It's gorgeous. I'm using everything miniature today because this deck is so small. Like I said, this is a general reading for all signs for today, the 27th of May, 2023, and it's going out to everybody, whether you're watching me live or on a restream. It does go out to a lot of people, so if for some reason it doesn't seem to apply to you personally, you can just disregard that reading because it may not indeed be meant for you. In that case, check out the zodiacal readings for your own individual sun sign, rising sign, and or moon sign. And you can find all those readings real easily right on my website, ariels-corner.com, arielscorner with a hyphen.com. I don't read with card reversals, so I'm going to flip those cards right side up. It's just how I like to read. We have a shop that's over at arielscornershop.com, arielscornershop.com. We have all kinds of merchandise, and a lot of the merchandise we have is tarot decks. So I try to make sure that we list all the tarot decks that I read with, at least the ones that are still in print. And we make a small commission off of each and every sale because it's an affiliate store. So we do appreciate your support. But mostly we just appreciate that you're here today for this general reading for all signs. So I'm going to shuffle this a few more times just to make sure that it's nice and randomized for accuracy's sake. And then I'll give this deck a nice clean cut. And we'll see what's in the cards for everybody today, the 27th of May, 2023. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you very, very much. Excuse me, a 4 of coins, a 4 of swords, a 3 of swords. Okay, today's a day to be orderly, to get things in order, and to not let our emotions run amok, or not let our tempers run amok, not let ourselves be hurt today. It's very easy to be hurt. It's hard enough to deal with how painful the world is without showing up looking for a problem, right? And we don't think we do that. I know, I'm not being accusatory. None of us really think that, like, no, I'm just showing up looking for a fight today. It's not something that we do on a conscious level. It's something that our egos are programmed to do. It's just it's a defect in the human mind in this particular time-space continuum. And you can see this running amok all over the world. And each of us has our own little part in that. This idea that I'm going to be hurt. This is, expecting to be hurt, showing up into a situation, expecting pain, expecting conflict. And the ego can be very sly about that. It can cover the whole thing with a bunch of glitter, so it seems like you're in a really great mood, but you're really looking for problems. So again, we're not being accusatory of ourselves here, but we are being on the lookout for those kinds of self-destructive patterns today, looking for those patterns where we are maybe just going unconscious a bit and allowing some of those old tapes, if you will, those old MP3 recordings that loop around in our brains constantly, trying to be almost homing devices for trouble. All right, so these 2 4s are very, very important because they are Jupiter. So what this I don't want to even call it a desire for pain, because for most of us, it's not a conscious desire, but this tendency toward pain, this tendency toward listening to that voice inside of us that kind of urges us on to have conflict or to have pain or to perceive things in a painful manner. Again, not making light of any pain that you're going through either. That's not what we're talking about. I'll get into that more in a minute. But this idea that we can organize our lives and have order in our lives and in our minds so that when those patterns come up, we're ready for them, and that they do not have any sway over us, and that it's just simply at that point just a decision not to go down that road, and to move into that abundance that is so prevalent in fours. Fours are Jupiter, and Jupiter rules prosperity. Jupiter rules expansion. Jupiter rules justice. Jupiter rules wealth and luck and benevolence, right? This Three of Swords is a Saturn-Mars combination. And Saturn and Mars together can be really, really a bad concoction. And so for those of you that are dealing with loss and grief, what I'm saying today is not to minimize the loss and grief that you're dealing with. What I'm talking about is that in addition to that, the normal loss and grief that's part of living, and sometimes it's really acute and sometimes it's not so acute in this world, and everything ebbs and flows. In addition to that, which is just part of living, there is another layer of that, which is our own responsibility to just to recognize when we're showing up to any situation expecting problems, expecting grief, expecting pain. And recognizing the creative powers of our minds when we do that. And that when we do that, it's usually that we've gone unconscious, we've gone to sleep, and we don't realize how powerful we are. And we don't realize how much of an impact we have on the situations in front of us. And that is helpful when we are dealing with grief as well. Because there's a sweetness to grief too. There's a positive side to grief, because when we grieve over a loss, we are also finding gratitude for the good that did happen. Right? There is a sweetness in grief in that we recognize how short-lived things are in this world and how much there is for us to be grateful for. So when grief is working through us, it can stimulate great amounts of gratitude, compassion, and love in us. But if we instead take that grief and make new decisions that this world is a horrible place, a cruel place, there's more where that came from, then we are misusing the creative powers of our minds. Right? So not to ever minimize what we're going through as far as grief, because grief is painful. We understand that. But recognizing that grief in and of itself is not the enemy, is not in and of itself evil, that it has its function, it has its purpose, and that we all go through it. All of us do. All of us have pain in this life. And that when we're using our minds creatively, we can find peace on the other side of the grief. We can find compassion. We can find gratitude. We can find praise for the things that, recognizing that things are short-lived here and that there's plenty to be grateful for. And we don't want to waste 1 second of our lives missing out on anything before it ends, right? And the other side of that is the decision that we make based on grief is, it's only going to get worse and everything is ruined and nothing works for me and this world is horrible and I hate those people and I hate those other people even more. There's a real difference in how those two examples of how we deal with grief can affect our lives. So yeah, grief is here. It's just part of this world and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. But that doesn't mean that we have to be its prisoner. All right, so we've got this beautiful King of Coins. We've got this gorgeous Knight of Cups and this amazing Six of Wands. And this is where the Three of Swords is trying to distract us from all of this success. Worldly success, financial success, intuitive understandings of the world, and actual miracles. actual miracles where things are happening not by any other reason than that there's a divine intervention. There's because what a miracle is that the seeing of something in a new way. And when you see something in a new way, then you're thinking of it in a new way. And what we think about is creative. And so then that creates new experiences for us. And oftentimes what happens with miraculous things is that our thought is supplanted by a divine thought that seems to be something outside of us. But it's not really outside of us, but it is outside of the thought system that we're used to operating in. Because miracles always happen outside of a thought system of fear. It's not happening within a thought system of fear. And that's why it feels like angels sometimes are guiding us when we have miracles, or we feel like there's some sort of external divine intervention, when in reality what's happening is the higher parts of our own mind that live and exist outside of the thought system of fear that we feel trapped in here become activated. And actually can move in and change things for us in our lives. So that's what miracles are. They're nothing super unusual or supernatural. They're just very different from the world that we are used to living in. So allowing a miracle to come in and replace the grief and to supplant that grief and to utilize the positive aspects of that grief and to release us from all the pain. That's what that is all about. This intuitive power, this is us listening to our inner guidance, this Knight of Cups. And this guidance is coming in and telling us to stay disengaged from conflict. That's what that Four of Swords is. Staying disengaged from conflict, no matter how much of a discipline that seems for us. And that's also internal conflict. When we're dealing with internal or external conflict, when we are not at peace, we come back again and again and again to this inner guidance and ask to be shown the way to have a peaceful experience rather than the one we're experiencing. Now, this all is here to support our physical well-being, which is interesting because a lot of times we think of spirituality as being something that's, separate and off in the distance. And actually what this is all of this spiritual well-being is here to help to transform our experience in the physical. And that includes our financial experience. And so many of you, as you are working on this spiritual side of yourself to move through this grief gracefully and graciously, you can expect to experience an increase in your financial well-being, because a lot of the financial problems that we experience, not all, I'm not saying this is always the case, but very many times we will have financial problems come up for us as a result of our own disintegrated personality, which is that grief part of ourself, that painful part of our minds that is sort of running amok and reacting to things in the world rather than responding to them from having that inner guidance show us what to do next. So, I think I'm all over the place, but I think I'm making some sense here. So the bottom line here is that we have great amount of expansion in our good available to us, but that doesn't happen because we're avoiding our grief today. It happens because we are asking to be guided and led through any grief that we're experiencing, any pain that we're experiencing, and enable ourselves to find the blessings that are on the other side of that grief, rather than using that grief as an excuse to manufacture more pain for ourselves. That was a better way of saying what I've been trying to say for the last 15 minutes. You're going to do great today. It's a very powerful day. So honoring yourself, honoring what you're feeling, honoring any kind of pain or grief, and recognizing that there's something wonderful on the other side of that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today, and thank you so much to the amazing moderators Shirley and Honeypaw, and we will see you all tomorrow for another general reading for all signs. Blessed be.